Coming up on tonight's Locker Room, Arsene Wenger is out at the end of the season. We discuss the legacy he leaves and who replaces him. Barcelona take on Sevilla in the Copa del Rey final this weekend. We ask if Sevilla stand a chance. And Juve and Napoli face off in a super scudetto showdown Sunday. So we'll be giving our thoughts on that game. That's Christian Vieri, Ray Hudson, Thomas Rungan and Gary Bailey. Let's get straight into it then. Arsene Wenger is leaving Arsenal at the end of the season after an incredible near 22-year reign as manager. In that time, he led his team to 3 Premier League titles, 7 FA Cups, including the double in 1998 and 2002, and a season-long unbeaten run in the league in the 03-04 campaign. His legacy is untouchable, said Thierry Henry today.
Yeah, I agree with him 100%. I think he's done a fantastic job. Great guy. I had the pleasure of meeting him and talking to him a few times, and extremely clever, got master's degrees, and he's changed a lot of the thinking in football. But I always say be careful what you wish for. We had this at Man United 4 years ago when Sir Alex left. And everyone was, we've got a new manager and fresh approach. Within 1 year, we're sitting in 7th. We dropped 7 places. And you'll even remember Leeds United back in 2001 played in European semi-final. And about 5 years later, they were in the 3rd division. So it's time for a change, but Arsenal fans, you better pick the right person.
It would seem that way, but it's so much that he changed in the English game, Ray. The diet of the players, the way that players approach games, it's something we'd never seen before.
I stopped drinking.
Yeah, the lager culture was out the window, even down to things like candy on the back of the bus, things like that after a game. But it was way more than that. You know, his legacy is going to be one of great things. You know, when he arrived from Japan as well, remember, from Grampus 8, nobody knew him. He had the name, but it seemed as if that was wishful thinking. And 22 years on, he was still there. The timing for me, I think, is perfect. Perfect, you know. And the Arsenal had started to restructure their club, so there was indications that he was going to be on the way out. Was he pushed or did he jump? We don't know yet. It'll all come out. But regardless of it, tremendous success as a manager, but over a long time. But I think the Arsenal fans know it was time. It is time for him to move on. And what better way than winning the Europa League? I mean, that would be the greatest send-off imaginable, and I hope he gets it.
Are we going to see that again? 22-year reign?
Never. It's like the equivalent of Henry VIII. You know, it's like fucking 120 years. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, what he's done, he's a trailblazer. He was one of the first international coaches. Look at this league right now. When is the last time English coaches won anything in England? Nobody, because it's all foreign coaches. And he laid that way. The nutrition, he changed the culture on and off the field, and playing football. The Terry Henrys, the Patrick Vieira. The only Dutch player that's in the English Hall of Fame is Dennis Bergkamp. I mean, incredible what he's done.
Bring that name up, Thomas. He scored a goal at Newcastle United, remember? The Bergkamp goal. But you're right, he identified... Actually, I think Bergkamp was there when Arsene came. But the Thierry Henry signings, the Petits, on and on, he discovered players. You know what? But those days are gone as well. We're not living in those times. Everybody knows the players that are out there now. Arsene was that far ahead of his time, but he hit the nail on the head again. It was the manner in which his football was played. In Arsenal, you knew what you were going to get, and it was always attacking, and that was his downfall in the end. He didn't address the deficiencies of Arsenal in the defence the last few years. He was stubborn.
Okay, well, it's not easy playing football in England, because 22 years ago when he arrived, he was playing football, just long balls and smashing everyone's head in. Right?
I agree. You know me.
You can say he's a winner or not, but 22 years, Arsenal has always played amazing football. Always nice football to play. Always.
Consistent.
He always gets quality players.
He was a little bit lucky. That team that he took over already had Tony Adams, Seaman, it had a solid defence. He added the attack. What he couldn't do, I don't think, was when that defence disappeared, he didn't seem to be able to be a defensive coach. Am I right? He was always attacking, but you also need to be a clever defensive coach.
First 10 years, he had 17 titles, not too many thereafter, unfortunately. I hope he wins the Europe League, obviously they play Atleti as well, because that will be great. I think Gazidis, which I know very well, who will make that decision. I spoke to him this morning. Stan Kroenke, the American owner, is hands off. It'll be very interesting to see the number 2 to Sunil Gulati, that put MLS on the map, that went to Arsenal, which direction Ivan Gazidis, South African. Because him and Sungulati in '96 pretty much put MLS on the map, and that's the reason why he is Oxford-trained, South African, like Gary Bailey, very smart. It'll be interesting to see he loves good football too, Ivan. So,
what happens next at Arsenal? We'll get to that in a moment, but there have been some funny jokes from opposing teams, Gary.
Yeah, that's what I actually wanted to say. Thanks to Arsene, but thanks in a funny way if you look at the picture, because it's thanks for Van Persie and the championship trophy from 3-4 years ago. So this is Man United having a bit of fun with Arsene Wenger, but he found these players, and that's what's so special about Arsene Wenger is the talent that he brought up, the Cesc Fabregas, whether it was in Spain, whether it was a Thierry Henry, the Petit Vieira. How many great young players, including Van Persie, Overmars, Bergkamp?
Again, we'll go back to the previous point. There was a time where that was one of his greatest accomplishments. But now, you know, in this age now, you just do this, and you're going to be able to.
You need 60, 70 million euros to buy.
Right.
You know, young players now.
Correct.
You mentioned Vieira because Arsenal have said a successor will be appointed as soon as possible. But who is the right man to take the club forward, especially if they are to respect the wishes of Arsene Wenger and take care, as you're mentioning, of the values of this club?
The first thing and foremost, I think this appointment has got to be dead on. With this situation, they'll have learned from Manchester United, Gary. They will have learned that it's not just going to be who the ex-boss thinks. They've got to get somebody that is going to be up with the times. And I think, more importantly for Arsenal Football Club, a real, true, bona fide tactician and coach.
Go on. So who is it?
There's a number of them that you can think of right off the bat, but are they going to go with one of the new laptop coaches, like Tuchel and you know, that sort of ilk, or are they going to go with the tried and trusted Ancelotti? Evidently, from what I've heard, really wants this job. And he is one of the favourites. But, you know, you look at Simeone, Brendan Rodgers, Celtic, Patrick Vieira from New York, Allegri.
Might Ancelotti be a good stopgap in between, because he's usually seen as a more short-term coach?
I don't think they're looking for a stopgap.
But is that not what he would be, though, Ancelotti, if he were to come in?
Well, if he produces, he's not an old man. I mean, how old is Wenger? Ancelotti's much younger.
Let me ask you something. If you get Ancelotti, okay, what do you want to do with Ancelotti? Like, what are you going to say? We want to win the title,
right?
But you need money,
right?
You need money. You can get Ancelotti, you can get Luis Enrique, you can get Henry, you can get Thomas the coach.
Hey, listen.
But if you don't get if you don't take no money out of your pockets,
okay, and
you know what you're going to win? Zero.
You look at this Arsenal team, lads. You look at how many players that aren't good enough for Champions League. You can go right through the team. They've maybe got 4.
So
You've maybe got
I've got
4.
the
So there's a
solution for you.
massive undertaking.
I've got the solution. The perfect guy who will play attacking football. He produces talent. He wins trophies against all odds. He can be a winner, and he doesn't spend money. And that's Leonardo Jardim at Monaco, which, funny enough, was where Wenger was beforehand. This guy ticks every single box. He's in his 40s.
You know why he doesn't spend money?
Yeah.
Because they don't give him the money to spend.
So if you can create a team that beats PSG without money, what can you do with a little bit of extra money?
Because you've got those talents.
But he found those talents, Mbappe, and now there's this Ronnie Lopez and Bernardo Silva.
You can't think to buy these little talents that become big players, okay? In the Premier League, you got to spend money. You got to buy players that are ready now.
He can do both. He can bring the youngsters and he can buy players.
Again, knowing Ivan, I don't think he's going to go for a big-time coach. I think that somebody like Jogi Löw will fit the bill for him as well. Good football, dogmatic.
That's not a
he's
big-time
German.
coach.
Won a World Cup or
That's
two.
what I'm saying. You said you don't think he's
Can
going to
he
go
coach
for a
like
big-time coach.
I mean, he hasn't done anything in club football, so it's a huge gamble in terms of football philosophy. I don't think they get away from it. And Tuchel from Dortmund, who's rumoured to go to PSG, but nobody's confirmed that.
PSG's.
I would look at somebody like that, and then Arteta as the number 3, the former captain of Arsenal, would be perfect in terms of playing style and doing it with
as manager.
Not as much.
Arteta's manager, or
Arteta's manager. He's assistant to Pep right now.
Wow. Okay.
Isn't he?
Do you not need?
Correct, yeah.
You've seen someone, Alexis Sanchez, go off to Manchester United. Do you not need a coach that's going to come in and attract big names? It's not just the money. It's someone who these players are going to want to go to that club for.
I think if I'm by Arsenal, that's a strange company, because one thing is Americans don't know nothing about soccer. So after 22 years, you change the coach. Okay, if you want to stay up there, for me, you got to get a coach that has experience.
Right.
Okay, has won a lot of trophies. international if it's possible.
Yeah.
And you got to be an amazing budget if you want to compete. Or else you're just going to come 5th, 6th every year and just stay there.
Sure.
What's the
that's
sexiest league?
Key, that's the key, Thomas, for me. I think they're in this situation, as I said earlier on. What are they doing? Are they going to go long-term? When I say long-term, with a young player like Nagelsmann, a young coach at Hoffenheim, exceptional. He'll be, you know, the Tuchel's, he was Tuchel's assistant. That one is for the future. Are they going to trust the man with this, you know, incredible position, with a long-term vision, or are they going to go for, you know,
This is the
race?
golden age for foreign managers right now. Why are all the biggest managers driven somehow
So it's
to
been
go
like that,
to go
Thomas.
to England? Money, fame, and somebody wants to win the UCL. So it's going to be Zidane after he wins the 3rd UCL. Yes, it will be.
I'm blocking you.
What do you mean you're blocking me?
I'm blocking you on my phone and Instagram.
All the big
Facebook,
coaches
Twitter,
after they won
everything.
something.
Well, at least you
Zidane,
let
go
this
to
one
England.
out. We're going to head to a break here. So still
Come
to
on,
come on the
Zizou.
locker room. Stick
I'm
around.
resigning.
We've got
I'm
plenty
resigning.
for you. The panel
can't
will
resign.
give their takes
I'm
on
gonna
the
fire you.
weekend's Copa del Rey. The super showdown between Juve and Napoli, and we'll check in on the CONCACAF Champions League final. Second leg coming up. Welcome back. The Wanda Metropolitano sets the scene for the Copa del Rey final on Saturday. Barcelona taking on Sevilla, with the Catalans hoping to scoop the tournament for the 4th season in a row. Ernesto Valverde is taking this one very seriously, as he should. He says Barcelona are obliged to win this one. Is he right, Christian?
What does oblige mean?
That they must win it.
Must.
That
Of
it's
course. What
expected
is
of
he?
them.
Einstein? You're Einstein, you're going to say that? After what happened in the Champions League? Wow.
Would it
course they've got to
soften
win
the
it.
blow of what's happened in the Champions League? Would it soften the blow of them exiting the Champions
It's not going to
League?
soften anything because Barcelona have to be in the semi-finals of the Champions League and the final every year. That's what sort of club that is. You got the biggest player in the that's ever played soccer, maybe, and the biggest players in the world. So that club has to be always in the semi-finals, playing to go into the finals. You're not in there, it's no good season. Yeah, you can win the league, but no one cares about the league or the Copa del Rey. And it's not like that. You ask Messi, you want to win the league or you want to win the Champions League?
He'd rather win the Champions League, but the league is
that
just there.
You're there
beside
because
it.
no, it's not beside it, Gary, because you don't get the money. You don't get the money. The club doesn't get the money that they get with the Champions League. And people, you have to play every Sunday.
But
So you're
Champions
going to
League
play
is
to
a
win.
cup. It's a cup. So
No,
you can,
it's the biggest cup in the world. It's like a World Cup.
You can be lucky. You can be lucky. Whereas the league, he's had to beat. He's had to outperform Real Madrid and Atleti over an entire season.
Let me ask
of
you something.
38
Why
games,
is everyone sad?
undefeated.
Why is everyone sad in Barcelona? And why are the
They're
Barcelona?
sad for 1 week.
Because
They
they're
win the
out.
cup. They'll win the cup.
They're still sad.
They'll win the league. They'll get a fantastic
They're still
double.
sad, believe me.
Real Madrid might win nothing, and Barcelona will be
Listen,
You want
celebrating.
to speak with Messi?
They're
sad. They're going to win the double. They're going to say
Barcelona is automatically going to win the Copa del Rey. It depends on Sevilla which team shows up, because we've seen Sevilla play absolutely marvellous. You know, Man United,
sure.
you know, they did
Bayern Munich.
brilliantly against Bayern Munich, when
right.
everybody here laughed at me, saying they'll get absolutely wiped up with the floor. They didn't. They ran Bayern Munich down to the wire. But they've been playing poorly. They haven't won one game in 7 games in the league.
So I'm very excited to
But
hear.
Barcelona have got to win this.
I'm very excited to hear then, if you're saying this about Sevilla, who you've gone for. I'm going to start with you, Christian Vieri. Who's going to win this game?
there's no Barcelona.
Of course.
Okay, so Ray Hudson, with everything you just said about Sevilla, who's going to win this game?
Barcelona.
So what do you think? Come on, you're making me go crazy here.
I'm going to run them down. It's just not a gimme.
Gary
Okay.
Bailey.
I hear what Ray's saying. It could be a tough game, but at the end of the day, Barca's got far too much for Sevilla. So the double is on, and it's a great season, Christian. A double.
I don't think so.
Thomas.
I agree with Christian, and they're going to lose, by the way, so they're going to win one title. Sevilla in the last game, March 31st, the 2-2 game, was the better of the two. Finally, after the Roma loss, Valverde starts doing some rotation. So there's a few guys coming back that are healthy and fitter right now. But you know what? Kay said it actually in a statistic 3 weeks ago. Barca have not given up a goal in the last 50
Only in the
minutes.
league, though. Only in the league.
Correct, but they've given up now 4 consecutive games. Goals late, and the tie, by the way, to Valencia late as well. Coutinho was very good. I still think that Muriel's got the better of Piqué, and I think that Mercado is going to just kick Messi a few times.
Well, you are outnumbered, Thomas, because
Why?
I'm going for
You go
Barcelona
with me,
as
then?
well on this one. No, sorry, Barcelona. But you can gloat if Sevilla do win it. Okay. Maurizio Sarri has sent out a warning that his Napoli side mean business when they travel to Turin to take on Juventus this Sunday. Napoli have reduced the deficit to 4 points on Juve with 5 games to play. The pressure's on Juve, isn't it, Christian?
How can it be on Juve if they're up 4 points?
Because Sarri's saying we're going to go and have fun anyway. We've secured second. The pressure's not so much
Sarri.
on them, is it?
He should cry less. Cry less. If they want to win the scudetto, they're going to go to Turin Sunday and win the game. If you don't win, you're not going to win the scudetto.
Yep.
You got to win the game.
Much.
Even if they win the game, though, and they're still behind them, do you think then Napoli do have the chance? Then?
Yes, because Inter goes to San Siro the week after against
Juve.
Inter.
Here are Juve's matches.
And it's not easy to go win over there.
Yep.
Okay. Then they go to.
This is
Roma.
Juve first.
I don't understand.
Roma away as well.
Here's Napoli.
There they are.
Napoli should win their game, shouldn't they?
They're playing in Fiorentina.
Yeah, oh, they should win.
It's not easy over there. Not easy.
Yeah.
Listen, they will have hard games, but if you're 4 points behind, 5 games to go.
This is the one, though.
games,
This
yeah.
is the big kahuna, this one. I mean, he's had a small squad to work with, so talented, by far the best footballing team. I ain't going to turn away from them. They're going to go into Turin and they're going to beat the Zebras. They're going to beat them. They've been running down on the energy levels and they've been found out. Okay, they've dropped points. But in this game, they find a different gear. And their
Let me give you the man
wins
who's
out.
going to prove you 100% wrong, and it's going to be Higuain, 5 goals
Oh,
in 5 games
God.
against his old team. He's going to pop up, he's going to do the damage, game over, league over.
I've said
Yeah?
it for the last 2 years and Ray is right, they're not very deep, but the lack of rotation that Sarri does versus Allegri, the fact that in big games this year, again,
Yeah.
Juve this year, UCL quarters, Copa final, okay, the first place as well. Napoli, UCL, bye-bye. They go to Europe, 32, bye-bye. They're in the quarters of Copa, second in La Liga. They're a team.
And they got robbed last week.
Come on, Bobo, kiss this. Kiss this crest.
no.
Bobo, come on. Bobo, kiss it.
I'm gonna
No, kiss it.
No,
Show me.
I want to kiss my girlfriend.
Well, Christian decides
If I
whether he's
kiss-
going to
if I don't-
kiss
this is not your
the
favourite
Juve
team in Italy?
shirt.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
head
your
to
team.
a
No,
break.
come on.
It's our international connection when we return. Kiss it, Bobo.
This is fake. It's not real, this shirt.
It's a Newcastle United shirt. Just pretend it's Newcastle.
International connection when we return.
This segment is brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925.
Welcome back in. The second leg of the CONCACAF Champions League final will be played next Wednesday in Guadalajara. Chivas taking a 2-1 lead over MLS side Toronto FC into the concluding match. And Chivas have home advantage as well. What happened to Toronto in that first leg?
Just an off day. I mean, they've beaten the 2 better teams in Mexico, Tigres and Club America. Chivas is in 17th place right now, haven't won at home in 7, and just couldn't get going. Giovinco out the door, good chances, but nothing there.
Josie
2
was
sloppy
sick as
mistakes.
well, wasn't he?
Exactly.
He was sick.
But I think they can go there and get a result. Almeida, your former teammate, is the coach there. Jesus, the good-looking guy. Did you go out with him a few times?
Yeah, I
of
used to
course.
take him out.
But they're a good team. just Mexicans only. They've never brought in international players.
Of course.
I still think that they can go there and get a 2-0
I
result.
saw the game. I enjoyed the game. Actually, I thought there was very little in between the games. The Mexicans took care of Giovinco, but it was a horrible weather. And you've got to give full credit to the Mexicans in that night. Horrible conditions. They came through. Fluky goal as well, by the way. Toronto will respond.
Question for you both. Do you not find that the American football is actually beginning to catch up? Because Mexicans have always been way ahead. And it's getting a little bit closer every single year?
Yeah, certainly. And Toronto is maybe an outlier. Bobo saw the game.
Physically, everyone's there
Tell
now.
everybody what you said about Toronto. Give MLS a little love.
Toronto. I love Toronto. The way I watched the final last year, they dominated the whole 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I watched the game they played in Mexico. They drew 1-1.
At Club America.
They played
in Azteca.
Okay, it's not easy to play over
Ray
there.
makes a good
but
point.
They play football.
Terrible weather there, and since they are a good passing team, actually going to the heat is good for Toronto as well.
Sure.
They might suit them.
Christian, do you want to talk us through the Chivas Guadalajara 11?
What about her throwing the lad under the bus?
That's
What
right.
a
here we go.
little minx.
All right,
What
here we
a
go.
You know what? I'm going to go there, watch the game.
Pineda.
Flippin' tell me,
Pulido.
don't trust any women from Middlesbrough. I've said it
Almeida.
for a long time.
Almeida.
Anyway,
Good game.
moving on.
I love it.
The FA Cup semi-finals hit the calendar this weekend. First up, Manchester United face Spurs. Winning it could be some consolation for United this season, but it would mean a whole lot to Spurs. So we're going to ask the panel what they think. Gary Bailey, is
Can I just make
it
one
obvious?
point? This is meant to be a neutral game, and it's being played at Spurs' home ground. That's a disgrace.
Always been at Wembley.
Neutral game. But having said that, we're still going to win. Against all the odds, we're still going to win. United go
Thomas.
through.
And you're playing against a better team than West Brom, by the way. You lost against a home 1-0.
We beat
City. We beat
2-1
City
for
away.
Tottenham. Harry Kane, baby.
Christian,
Spurs.
Ray,
Tottenham Hotspur.
Better footballing team.
Gary, we had some
Come on,
tweeters
Kate.
saying that we'd been picking on you and we're not supporting you enough, so I'm going for Manchester.
Yes,
I'm not
thank
betting
you,
against
Kate.
Mourinho in cup
Thank you,
competition.
Kate. You won't regret it.
Okay, stay with us on beIN Sports tonight because we have Major League Wrestling joining the beIN Sports family. You can see some of the top-ranked wrestlers from around the world as they collect every Friday starting this week. It is time for Major League Wrestling on beIN Sports, and perhaps Ray Hudson will even be joining them soon. Look at this.
Good luck, Ray, with that. You could get squad right.
You're doing a greaseman. A wrestling greaseman.
You seen a colossal guy, 470 pounds, right? You want to run into him?
Start running. Yeah.
Come on, off the ropes, Rocky, off the ropes. Do the headlock.
1, 2, 3. He's out.
He's supposed to do it, right? Not you.
All
Right, finish
So
that,
guys,
Kate.
listen, just quickly, because we've got to be fair, we have mentioned one of the semi-finals. There is another one being played
Really?
as well. Yes, there is. It's Chelsea and Southampton. What do you
Chelsea,
reckon?
Southampton need to concentrate on survival, so Chelsea to win that.
Yeah, Chelsea as well.
Chelsea.
Ooh, Robbie.
Hesitation.
Come on, put it head. Come on.
Chelsea.
Chelsea for you.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to say Southampton then, haven't I? That's not
Okay.
fair. Well, we'll see what happens in that one. Anyway, what else have we got coming up this week? Ray Hudson's got a rare weekend off.
Yes.
And he deserves it. What are you going to do with it?
Going to go to the racetrack.
You're not going to watch football?
Gulfstream Park. But I'm going to be watching our game, the Juve Napoli game. I ain't going to miss that. And I might tune in to watch Man United get beat.
Cool.
Yeah, and you can
Get
watch
beat,
the extra
thanks.
with those guys as well. Just a 30-minute version at the weekend. Christian Vieri, Juve, Napoli. You want to say who's going to win that one?
Juve.
All right, we'll see what happens. We'll remind everybody of their picks on Monday's show, and we'll see you next time on The Locker Room here on beIN Sports.
300. Second race, Ray, the white horse.
This segment was brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925.